The human envoy Elias had never seen such a world before. The alien kingdom of Valoria floated among bright rings of sapphire light, a world that seemed more like a dream than a planet. From the window of his shuttle, he saw towers of crystal, rising high into the sky, glowing with energy. Rivers of silver flowed through wide gardens, and creatures with wings like glass drifted across the air. It was a place that looked untouched by war or pain. Elias was not here as a tourist. He was Earth's representative, chosen to attend a rare peace meeting with Valoria's royal family. For decades, Earth had been ignored by the greater galaxy. Many alien nations saw humans as newcomers, too wild and dangerous to trust, but Valoria had agreed to host this meeting, perhaps curious about what humans truly were. When Elias stepped off the shuttle onto the shining courtyard, dozens of alien nobles were already waiting. They were tall, elegant beings, with pale blue skin and glowing silver eyes. Their long robes moved like water when they walked. Elias felt every eye on him. Whispers moved through the crowd. Humans were rarely seen in royal courts. "Envoy Elias of Earth," the herald announced. "Welcome to the Palace of Valoria." Elias bowed politely. His human body looked small compared to the tall figures around him, but he stood with quiet strength. He had trained for this moment, not only in diplomacy, but in patience. The nobles were cold, but there was one presence in the group that felt different. A young woman stood slightly behind the royal council, half hidden by her own shyness. She wore a gown that shimmered like starlight, and her long hair glowed faintly with violet light. Her eyes were gentle, yet she lowered them quickly whenever someone looked at her. This was Princess Arinya, daughter of the Valorian ruler. She was known across the court as the Shy Princess. She rarely spoke, and when she did, her words were soft like a whisper. Many nobles dismissed her, saying she was too quiet to ever rule. But in truth, Arinya carried a heart more sensitive than most. When her gaze accidentally met Elias's eyes, she quickly looked away. But something stirred inside her chest. The human envoy was not like the alien nobles she grew up with. He did not wear jewels, nor did he carry himself with arrogance. His eyes were steady, but they carried warmth. As the day continued, Elias was introduced to the council. They asked him questions about Earth, its armies, its cities, its history. He answered honestly, speaking not with pride, but with calm truth. The nobles nodded, but their expressions remained guarded. All the while, Arinya stayed silent at the edge of the chamber. She listened to the human's words more than the others did. His voice was steady, and his tone was respectful. But what touched her most was when he spoke of Earth's people. "We are not the strongest," Elias admitted. "We are not the oldest, but we are a people who endure. Even in hard times, we hold together. That is what makes us human." Something inside Arinya trembled. She felt her heart beat faster. That evening, a feast was held in the great hall. Crystal chandeliers floated above the tables, and strange fruits glowed softly on golden plates. Music from silver instruments filled the air. Elias sat among the guests, careful to follow the customs of the Valorians. He listened, observed, and never once acted out of turn. But his attention kept drifting toward the princess. She did not sit near him, but across the hall. She smiled politely whenever spoken to, but Elias noticed the way she kept her hands folded, tightly in her lap, as if she were holding back emotions no one else could see. The nobles around her whispered. Elias caught fragments of their words. "The human is unclaimed. Single, perhaps. He shows no bond mark. Strange, for one of his kind. Perhaps he hides something." Arinya's fingers tightened more around her cup. The whispers reached her ears too. If Elias was single, then why did he never show interest? Why did he remain so distant? The thought made her chest ache in a way she had never known before. For the first time in her life, she wished she were bolder. She wished she could walk across the hall and ask him the questions burning inside her heart. But instead, she lowered, her gaze again hiding her feelings from everyone, including him. Later, as the guests began to leave, Elias found himself wandering through the garden paths outside the hall. The night sky was filled with twin moons and flowers glowed softly under their light. He walked in silence, breathing in the strange, sweet air of Valoria. Unknowingly, he passed near the quiet corner where Arinya stood alone. She had slipped, away from the feast, seeking peace among the flowers. When she saw him, her heart skipped. She wanted to speak, but her throat closed. Elias noticed her then. For a moment, their eyes met again. She looked away quickly, her cheeks glowing faintly, with color. Elias gave her a gentle nod, a silent greeting before continuing on his walk. He did not realize how much that small gesture meant to her. When he was gone, Arinya placed her hand over her heart. She felt it ache, and she did not understand why. In her mind, one belief repeated again and again. The human is single, and yet he will never choose me. She turned her face away from the moons and her eyes glistened with unshed tears. The days after the first feast passed slowly, but they brought Elias and Princess Arinya closer in small, quiet ways. The human envoy attended meetings with the Valorian Council, discussing trade, culture, and the possibility of peace. Most of the nobles spoke to him with distance in their voices, but Elias never lost his calm. He answered questions with honesty, and sometimes he even smiled lightly when the conversation grew heavy. Arinya noticed those small smiles more than anyone else. She often sat at the side of the hall, silent, pretending not to watch. But her eyes always searched for him. Each time Elias looked at someone directly, she felt a strange warmth in her chest, as if his steady gaze could break through walls. One morning, Arinya was assigned to guide Elias through the palace gardens as part of a cultural exchange. She walked beside him, her steps soft against the silver stone paths. The gardens stretched wide with glowing trees, their leaves shining like emeralds under the morning sun. Crystal fountains sang with music-like tones as the water fell. Elias walked respectfully, his hands behind his back, his eyes open with curiosity. "Your world is beautiful," he said softly. "It feels alive in every corner." Arinya glanced at him, her voice quiet. We try to keep harmony with the land. It gives us strength." Her words came slow, but Elias nodded with care, as though each word carried weight. "On Earth, we fight the land sometimes. Storms, deserts, cold winters. We survive them, but it changes us. It makes us value what little peace we find." Arinya looked at him again, surprised by his openness. He did not speak like the nobles of Valoria, who often filled the air with grand words but little truth. His words were plain, yet they reached her heart more strongly. They walked further into the gardens, and Elias paused to observe a flower with glowing blue petals. He bent slightly, studying its strange beauty. Arinya, without thinking, explained, softly, "It blooms only once every 10 years. It is said, if one gives this flower to another, it means they offer a piece of their soul." Elias looked at her carefully then, and Arinya realized what she had said. Her face warmed, and she quickly looked away. "Forgive me, I spoke too much." But Elias only gave a small smile. "You didn't speak too much. You spoke honestly." That smile made Arinya's heart beat faster. She lowered her eyes, afraid he might see the feelings hidden within her. As days passed, their meetings continued. Sometimes Elias asked her about Valorian customs, ritual dances, royal duties, or stories of their ancestors. Other times he told her about Earth, about forests that stretched endlessly, about oceans that roared with storms, about people who could laugh even in hard times. Arinya listened closely, her shyness slowly softening. She found herself laughing softly at one of his stories about humans trying to fly with cloth wings before they discovered real machines. Elias's face lit up when he heard her laugh, though he did not say why it pleased him. Yet, even as their bond grew, shadows of doubt followed Arinya. Rumors in the palace grew louder, servants whispered in corners. Nobles exchanged secret glances. They all spoke of the same thing. The human envoy had no bond mark, no sign of being tied to a partner. On Valoria, such marks were shown with pride, glowing symbols on their skin that linked one heart to another. But Elias had no such mark. He is single, some said. Or perhaps he hides his bond far away, others whispered. Arinya's heart swayed painfully between hope and fear. Part of her wanted to believe he was free, that the warmth she felt might someday be returned. But another part told her it was only a dream. Perhaps he already had someone waiting for him on Earth. Perhaps his silence meant he belonged to another. One evening, at another gathering in the Crystal Hall, Elias stood beside the council, answering questions about human alliances. Arinya sat across the room again, as she often did. She should have been listening to the discussions, but instead her thoughts drowned her. She stared at Elias, her hands clasped tightly together. Why does he never show his heart? She thought. If he is free, why does he keep himself distant? The ache inside her grew heavy. Her chest felt tight, and her eyes stung, though she forced them to stay dry. She excused herself quietly, slipping out of the chamber before anyone noticed. Later that night, Elias wandered the palace again, seeking calm under the glowing of thought about the council. The night on Valoria was quieter than usual. Crystal lights in the palace halls glimmered softly, and the air carried a faint scent of glowing flowers. Most of the nobles had retired to their chambers, leaving the corridors nearly empty. Yet, one figure moved silently through the moonlit gardens, Princess Arinya. Her steps were careful, almost hesitant. She tried to calm herself, but the sadness inside her would not fade. The whispering rumors of the council had reached her ears again, and the words twisted in her heart. The human is single, yet he will never choose me. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached a secluded fountain. The water sparkled in silver light, flowing endlessly over the carved stones. Arinya knelt beside it, her reflection distorted by the rippling water. She could not hold it in anymore. Quiet tears slipped from her eyes, glimmering like tiny stars as they fell onto her gown. She did not notice Elias approaching along the stone path. He had been walking the palace grounds, seeking peace and clarity after another long day of meetings. His mind, as always, drifted toward the princess, the way she spoke softly, the way her laughter had touched him. When he saw her, he froze. There she was, kneeling by the fountain, tears silently falling. Her posture, usually so composed, was broken in sorrow. Something in his chest tightened. "Princess Arinya," he called gently, unsure if he should step closer. Arinya flinched at the sound of his voice, lifting her head abruptly. Her eyes were red and shimmering. She tried to straighten herself, but Elias could see the truth in her expression. She was deeply upset. I should not be here," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I am weak." Elias shook his head. "You are not weak. You are human." He stopped, then corrected himself. "I mean, you are strong, more than you realize. But even the strongest have moments of sorrow." Arinya looked at him then, her lips parting as if to speak, but no words came. The silence stretched between them, heavy, yet filled with unspoken meaning. Elias stepped a little closer, careful not to frighten her, but close enough to show he was there. "Why do you cry?" he asked quietly. "You should not carry this alone." She swallowed, her throat tight. I thought you were free. That you might..." Her words stumbled and fell into silence. She could not finish the sentence for fear it would reveal the depth of her heart. Elias's eyes softened. He realized then that she misunderstood him completely. He had not shown her everything, not because he did not care, but because he had a hidden purpose. He had been silent to understand her heart, to see if she felt something beyond curiosity or duty. "Arinya," he said gently, "you believe I am promised to someone else. That is not true. I am here, and I have been silent for a reason. But you must know, You are the one I wish to understand, not anyone else. Her eyes widened, and for a moment she could not breathe. She had thought she was imagining her feelings, that the hope in her heart was foolish, and yet he spoke with honesty, something so rare in her world. You mean me? She asked softly, almost unable to trust her own ears. Elias nodded. Yes, you. I have come to Valoria as an envoy, yes, but also to see if there is someone worthy of trust, of respect, of friendship and more. And I see it in you, Princess, more than anyone else here. Her tears fell faster now, but they were no longer just sorrow. Relief mixed with joy and a strange warmth spread through her chest. She felt both small and powerful at the same time. Small because she had doubted herself for so long, and powerful because the human's words had given her hope. I thought I was too shy, too small, too quiet for you to notice, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Elias crouched down beside her, keeping his distance respectful but close enough to show he cared. Your shyness does not hide your strength. It does not hide your heart. That is what makes you remarkable. Arinya blinked, staring at him. She had never heard words so sincere, so full of truth. A gentle smile began to form, hesitant at first, then stronger as she realized she no longer needed to hide her feelings. The princess's chest felt lighter than it had in weeks, yet she still felt afraid. But your mission is important. You are here for Earth and Valoria. How can you think of me? Elias smiled gently. Because even in duty, humans follow what is right for their hearts. I am here to represent Earth. Yes, but I am also here to act honestly. I cannot pretend to ignore what is real. Arinya's heart fluttered. She realized now that his attention was not just politeness or curiosity. He cared, truly cared. She had feared loneliness and misunderstanding, but now those fears began to fade. The fountain's water sparkled under the twin moons, mirroring the new hope growing between them. For the first time, Arinya laughed softly, a sound like a bell echoing in the quiet garden. She had not realized how much she had longed to hear him speak like this, how much she had wished for honesty and openness. Elias smiled at her laugh, his own heart lifting. You have a beautiful laugh, Princess, he said, simple but true. She blushed lightly, glancing down, unsure how to respond. Her chest still raced, but this time, it was excitement, not sorrow. I do not know how to thank you, she murmured. Elias shook his head. No thanks needed. I just want you to know the truth. You should never doubt your worth, Arinya. You are stronger and braver than most realize. The princess looked at him, really looked, and for the first time in her life she felt seen, not as a shy figure behind silken gowns, but as a person worthy of attention and care. That night, under the calm moons of Valoria, the shy princess did not cry alone. For the first time she felt hope that the human she admired might see her for who she truly was, and perhaps that she might matter to him after all. The garden grew quiet again, the stars and moons reflecting in the fountain's water, and somewhere in the shadows, the bond between human and princess began to take root, delicate yet strong, ready to grow with truth and patience. The morning sunlight poured over the crystal towers of Valoria, making them gleam like diamonds. The palace was quieter than usual as most of the nobles had begun their daily duties. Yet in a small chamber overlooking the gardens, Elias prepared himself for something important. Today, he would reveal the truth, the reason for his silence, the hidden plan that had guided him to Valoria. Princess Arinya waited outside the chamber, unsure if she should come in. She had spent the night thinking about the human's words the previous evening. They had comforted her, yet they had also stirred questions. Why had he come here truly? Why had he remained silent for so long? Her heart had hoped for answers, but fear held her back. Elias opened the door and gestured for her to enter. Come in, he said gently. His calm voice carried warmth, and Arinya felt her nerves ease slightly. She stepped inside, her violet hair glowing faintly in the morning light. She lowered her gaze but allowed herself to be seated across from him. I do not understand everything, she admitted softly. You speak kindly, but I still feel there is more. Why were you silent? Why did you come here? Elias nodded, understanding her concern. He had not meant to hurt her, but the truth was delicate and required care. You are right, Princess. I have not told the full story. I have been quiet not because I do not care, but because I wanted to see clearly what mattered most. And I believe that the truth is strongest when shared honestly. Arinya's eyes widened. She leaned forward slightly. Tell me then, please. I need to understand. He took a deep breath. I came to Valoria as an envoy, yes. My duty is to represent Earth in the Council, to build trust between our peoples. But that is not all. I also came with a hidden purpose, one that involves the heart, not just diplomacy. Arinya's hands clenched in her lap, her pulse quickening. Her curiosity battled with fear. The heart? She asked. Yes, Elias said. I wanted to find someone here who could stand not only as a friend or ally, but as a partner, someone who embodies qualities humans value most: honesty, courage, and kindness. I have watched many here, but only one. Only you, Arinya, have shown these qualities clearly. Her breath caught. She had suspected something, hoped for something, but hearing it aloud made her chest ache. Me? She whispered. He nodded. Yes. I did not reveal this sooner because I needed to see if your feelings were true. If they were only influenced by duty or curiosity, it would not be real. But your care, your quiet strength, it shows me more than words ever could. Arinya lowered her gaze, feeling warmth flood her chest. She had never imagined that a human, a representative of a distant world, could see her for who she truly was. I thought I was too shy, too weak, too insignificant, she admitted. How could you notice me? Elias smiled softly. Because you are not weak. Strength comes in many forms. You carry courage in your quietness, honesty in your words, and a heart that feels deeply. That is why I noticed you. That is why I chose to come to you, not anyone else. Tears formed in Arinya's eyes, but they were no longer of sorrow, they were of relief, of hope. For the first time, she felt that her shyness, her quiet nature, could be seen as a gift rather than a flaw. But she hesitated. Your mission, the Council, they expect you to act for your people first. How can you choose me? Elias leaned forward, his hands resting lightly on the table. Because even in duty, humans follow what is right for their hearts. The Council wants trust, yes, but I cannot ignore truth and honesty. Choosing someone is not against my duty, it. The morning sun cast long shadows across the crystal halls of Valoria as the Council gathered in full force. Word had spread of Elias's bond with Princess Arinya, and while some nobles whispered approval, others scowled with suspicion. In Valoria, a human had never been so close to the royal family. Many saw him as an outsider, untested and unworthy. The Council decided that Elias must prove his worth. This trial was not a battle of violence, but a test of courage, loyalty, and wisdom, the qualities a Valorian valued most. If Elias failed, the bond with Arinya could be questioned, and the trust between Earth and Valoria might weaken. Elias stood before the Council, his posture calm, his face steady. Arinya watched from the side, her violet eyes wide. Though shy, she believed in him. She had seen his courage in small ways, and she knew his strength was more than physical. The Council elder, a tall Valorian with silver markings across his face, spoke. Human Elias of Earth, you claim to care for Princess Arinya. To honor this bond and earn our trust, you must pass the trial. Your mind, your heart, and your courage will be tested. Are you ready? Elias bowed. I am ready, he said clearly. The first test was of wisdom. The Council presented a puzzle, a complex scenario involving Valoria's resources, diplomacy with neighboring worlds, and potential conflicts. The task was to find a solution that preserved peace and fairness. Many nobles whispered that no human could understand their ways well enough to succeed, but Elias approached the challenge methodically. He listened carefully, asked questions when needed, and then proposed a plan that was both practical and compassionate. "Your solution considers both reason and heart," said the elder. "You demonstrate wisdom, though in ways uncommon for your kind." Elias nodded respectfully. The council moved to the second test. Loyalty. He was led to a chamber where illusions of danger appeared. Fires, crumbling structures, and threatening figures meant to test whether he would abandon the princess in fear. Without hesitation, Elias protected the illusion of Arinya, moving carefully, but decisively to ensure she was safe. The illusions were relentless, trying to trick him into panic or error. Yet he remained calm, relying on careful observation and quick thinking. When the illusions faded, the council observed his actions. "Loyalty is shown not in words but in deeds," said another elder. "You have acted with courage and care." Finally, the last test was of courage. Elias was brought to the edge of a high platform overlooking a canyon filled with glowing crystals. From there, he was instructed to retrieve a rare gem, a symbol of honor for the Valorians. The task was simple in instruction, but dangerous in execution. One wrong step could mean a fatal fall. Elias focused, steadying his breath. He moved carefully along the narrow path, using intelligence and patience rather than brute force. When a sudden gust of wind threatened to knock him off balance, he adjusted quickly, relying on his instincts. Step by step, he reached the gem, held it high, and returned safely. The council remained silent for a moment, studying him. Many had expected the human to fail, to reveal weakness or fear. Instead, they saw a being who combined careful planning, quick thinking, and courage, qualities that no one could teach that came from the heart. The elder spoke again. "Human Elias, you have demonstrated wisdom, loyalty, and courage. You have proven that your heart is true not just to Princess Arinya, but to all who would observe your actions. Valoria's traditions are strong, yet they have recognized the strength in your humanity." Some nobles murmured reluctantly, but the truth was clear. Elias had earned their respect, not by power, not by arrogance, but by showing human qualities that few had truly understood before. Arinya stepped forward slowly, her voice soft but clear. "The council has witnessed the truth. Elias is worthy, not because he is human, but because he acts with honesty and courage. I trust him, and I choose to stand with him." The council members studied her. Some nodded reluctantly, others still looked skeptical, but none could deny the bond now proven by both action and heart. Elias felt a quiet relief. The trial had tested more than skill. It had tested humanity itself, the ability to act with integrity and compassion. He looked at Arinya, her eyes full of trust, and felt the weight of duty and love balanced perfectly. Outside the council chamber, the palace grounds seemed brighter than before. The twin moons reflected on the crystal towers, and the gardens glimmered under the soft light. Word spread quickly among the palace staff and nobles. The human had passed the trial, but Elias did not see it as victory over others. He saw it as a step toward understanding, toward forming a bridge between two worlds. He realized that humans were often underestimated because they acted differently, thought differently, and valued honesty above status or tradition. Yet in those differences lay strength, a strength that the galaxy had yet to fully see. Arinya reached his side, her hand brushing against his. "You did it," she whispered, her voice filled with admiration and relief. Elias smiled softly. "We did it," he replied. "Not alone, but together." She nodded, feeling her heart settle. For the first time, she felt confident that their bond was not only real but recognized and respected. She no longer worried about rumors or misunderstandings. Elias had shown her and the council that humans could embody qualities even Valoria valued most: honesty, courage, and loyalty. The trial of acceptance ended not with loud celebrations or grand ceremonies, but with quiet understanding. The Asur Council had seen the truth, the princess had witnessed it, and Elias had proven that human qualities could stand strong even in a world unlike their own. That evening, as the moons rose high in the sky, Elias and Arinya walked together through the palace gardens. Their hands touched naturally, their steps in rhythm. They no longer needed words to understand each other. The trial had spoken for them. Under the glowing flowers and the crystal towers, a human and a Valorian princess moved side by side, not only as allies but as equals. The trial had tested courage and wisdom, but it had also shown that the greatest strength was the human heart, a heart willing to act with honesty, loyalty, and care in a galaxy that often underestimated it. And in that quiet moment, the shy princess smiled openly, for the first time her heart unburdened, ready to embrace the future with the human she had come to trust and admire. The palace of Valoria was alive with soft light and gentle music. Word had spread that the human envoy, Elias, had passed the trial of acceptance and proven his loyalty, courage, and wisdom. Yet the true celebration was not of victory over the council. It was of a bond that bridged two worlds. Princess Arinya stood on a balcony overlooking the gardens. The twin moons reflected on the crystal fountains, casting sparkling patterns across the marble floor. She had never felt such calm and joy. Her shyness, once a wall between her and the world, now felt like a shield she no longer needed. Elias had shown her that trust and honesty could overcome fear. Elias approached quietly, his footsteps soft on the balcony stones. "You seem happy," he said gently, his eyes warm as they met hers. Arinya smiled, her violet eyes glowing. "I am," she admitted. "Not just because of the council, but because of you. You showed me that even someone from another world can see my heart." Elias extended his hand, and she took it without hesitation. "And you showed me that bravery and kindness can exist even in quiet souls," he replied. "We are both stronger than we knew." The council chamber had already begun preparations for a ceremony to recognize their bond. Valorian traditions dictated a formal acknowledgement whenever an outsider formed a connection with the royal family. But this ceremony was more than ritual. It was a statement. It told the galaxy that humans were capable of integrity, courage, and deep understanding. The chamber filled with Valorian nobles, advisors, and attendants. They watched as Arinya walked gracefully beside Elias, her hand lightly resting on his. Some whispered in surprise. Others nodded with cautious approval. None could deny that their bond was genuine, built on truth and respect rather than mere duty or politics. The elder who had overseen Elias's trial stepped forward. "Today," he announced, "we witness a new chapter in Valoria's history. Human Elias of Earth has proven his worth not only through trials but through his heart. Princess Arinya has chosen to stand with him. Let this union mark a bond between our peoples." Elias bowed slightly, respecting the traditions of Valoria. "I am honored," he said, "and I promise to act with care, honesty, and courage, not just for the princess but for the trust of Valoria and Earth." Arinya's eyes softened. She had feared this moment, worried that their bond might be dismissed or ridiculed. Yet here it was recognized, officially and with respect. The shy princess had become a leader, and Elias had shown that humans could inspire trust and admiration even in an alien court. The elder presented a glowing symbol of Valoria, a small crystal that radiated light when touched by two hearts aligned in truth. Elias took Arinya's hand and placed it gently upon the crystal. His other hand rested lightly over hers. The crystal glowed brighter, spreading light across the chamber. The nobles watched in awe as the light filled the room. It was more than a symbol of love or partnership. It was proof that two worlds could unite through honesty, courage, and understanding. Arinya's heart swelled with emotion. She looked at Elias, no longer the shy girl,